This video is brought to you by ArchiTech Network and our online platform of courses where you can learn from world-class architects working in some of the practices that you can see in these videos. You can learn Grasshopper, Revit, Rhino Inside, Twinmotion, and some of our new courses on AI, and lots more courses that we're delivering over the next year. So please, if you like this video, check out our courses in the link below so we can keep bringing you more content like this.
What's up guys, and welcome back to another ArchiTech tour. We're here on our tour of the Netherlands and we've come to Rotterdam. We've got a really special tour. It's not only about visiting these big established practices, it's also about visiting the emerging innovative practices as well. And I think this one is a really innovative firm I wanted to show you guys. We're here in this innovation hub, which is a really cool space. We're in this massive warehouse and we're visiting Studio Wrap. So Studio Wrap, if you've not heard of them, they're a very unique firm. So really the next generation of architecture practice. They are designing and building. They're essentially becoming master builders through the use of digital tools from design all the way to actually fabricating it. They've been recently building a lot of really cool facades using 3D printed ceramics here in Amsterdam and Rotterdam. Really incredible products, and I think this is really an example of the future of architecture practice where you're actually expanding scope from just designing to actually making through digital tools. So this should be a really interesting one. We're going to be talking with Wessel. He's the co-founder of Studio Wrap. I'm really excited to see inside this space. Go check out that robot and their facades. This one should be a good one, so let's jump in and take a look. All right, we're here with Wessel in Studio Wrap. Really cool space that you have. Like,
Thanks.
Very unique. Definitely one of the most unique ones we've seen so far on the tour. Thank you for having us. Maybe talk to us about the space to start. Like, you know, what is this space and how did you find it?
Yeah, so we are in a former shipyard, like an abandoned factory hall. So back in the days, they made like ship parts, ships here in this building and in the buildings around here. And yeah, at a certain point, it got abandoned. I think the company got bankrupt. You know, the industry went away, went to the second Maasvlakte, which is artificial land all the way at the coastline. And yeah, the Port of Rotterdam, who's the owner of this area and this building, they redeveloped it into the RDM Innovation Dock, and that's where we are right now. So they actually cut up the whole building into plots that you can rent, and they rent it out to startups, innovative companies.
Yeah, already I've seen like there's like an architect over there, seen a boat builder. You know, there's quite a cool bunch of stuff here.
Yeah, thanks.
Some interesting neighbors, I guess.
Yeah. So it's quite a interesting community. You know, like also you can discuss your struggles with other entrepreneurs, but also tips and tricks. You know, yeah, you can do some networking. So that's actually pretty nice. And yeah, we are, I think, already for 9 years now. From the beginning, at the start, our company started here actually. So back in the days, the University of Delft, Technical University of Delft, had also a plot here, and we did some studios there. And after our graduation, there was a makerspace in this building. So there were a lot of startups starting at that makerspace. So a kind of incubator. And that actually went quite well. So you had like a proper office space. You could invite clients, but you could keep your costs low. So that's actually how we started. And
when was that? When did you start in this space?
I think it was around 2015.
Okay.
After 2015, 2016. That's when we.
So your 10-year anniversary, basically.
Almost, yeah. I think officially, I think it's in somewhere in 2016 we started the company we have right now. But yeah, directly after our graduation, we were looking around, thinking how we should start a company. And I think the makerspace was really nice, you know. So it was a nice way to start your company. And at that time, after we started at the Makerspace, we started a collaboration with a robot company in the Netherlands. So we could like, we could use their robotic arms. So we put them also in this building, and then the machine got rolling, and we got more commercial projects coming in, more clients. So after that, we hired our office, which is up there in the building, and then we rented our own plot here, and we transformed the containers
really cool.
to our.
So you got a little office space, and this is you're saying this is your R&D studio where you test things. We've got all these samples we'll talk about, and then you've also got like a production warehouse in the north.
Exactly. So that's where all the dirty work is done. So here we design our projects. So we are a design firm, architecture firm. We do a lot of testing. When we get a project in, we make prototypes just during the design process. I think that's unique for a company. During sketch design, preliminary design phases, we already prototype quite a lot. We make like sample tiles, small mock-ups to get, to really see if the design narrative, the design concept that we have in our minds also work one-to-one. Next to that, we also develop our own materials. So that's like a continuous process. And that's what we do here. And when we have the final design, we have the contract for the production. Then everything is moved to the north, and then we produce it.
Very cool. Shall we jump into some of these products? There's so many cool samples.
So here are actually, this is the ceramic house. It's a project we delivered last year.
Super cool building.
It's a facade we designed for a boutique, high-end boutique in Amsterdam. So you have like one street in the Netherlands. It's called the PC Hoofdstraat. It's I guess the most famous street of the Netherlands with all the high-end fashion brands.
We're actually staying right behind it, and tomorrow we're going to go and tour your building, some other buildings along the street.
Yeah, so then you can see it in full glory. But this is actually the approved mock-up by the client. So we did quite a mock-upping. I think at the end we made like 3 mock-ups before before it got approved by the client, but also by ourselves. Because at that time, when we got this project, we were in the midst of developing the technology. So it was a lot of learning by doing at that time. Like it felt a bit like landing the plane while building it at that time. So we also used the mock-ups to fine-tune the technology and fine-tune the design. And this is how it is right now. So this is actually a one-to-one section from the building. So here's the plinth, and this is the middle part of the facade.
Maybe talk us through. So the concept was like it's sort of inspired by kind of fabric, from what I understood.
Like with all the designs that we make, is we really try to create or amplify identity of a place. So it's very contextual. And I think that also fits this technology quite well, because you can easily make one-offs, like tailor-made designs. So that's always what we try to do with every design we make. So also for this one, so this is the fashion street. Everybody knows it in the Netherlands. It's the fashion street. So we took that actually as the starting point for the design. But we didn't want to make something that was too figurative or like literally like cloth or anything. So like all the designs that we make are kind of moving a bit between something that's very figurative and something abstract. And we believe that creates a certain timelessness, so that that there is some freedom for the user or people that are passing by to project their own thoughts on the design. But it's initially inspired by the art of knitwear.
Yeah.
So you have like the the creases that are so typical for your garments. So that's translated by an undulating facade. And the garments, the textiles are built up layer by layer by interlooping yarn. So that's actually literally translated by the printing paths, and that yarn is following a certain pattern, and so does the printing path.
Yeah.
So it kind
That's
of
really cool.
resembles a kind of stitch pattern.
So it's all 3D printed in ceramics, and then this is sort of raw, so to speak, or does it have a glaze? Whereas this one is.
This is also at that time. The first idea was to do it with literally the clay of a brick.
Oh yeah.
Like a red clay.
Yeah.
But at that time, like we were developing the technology, so we weren't at that. At that stage yet, so we just used like like the clay we used also for the bricks, like the tiles at the plinth, and then it was glazed in I think 3, 4, 5 different hues of red, brown, red, to create a kind of lively surface, and that's what you see here. And then the bottom part, it's like a custom glaze that was developed for this project. It's a pearl white glaze, but with a very subtle shade of yellow. So it's like in the valleys where the glaze accumulates, it becomes a bit yellow. And like these bricks are mounted into laser cut stainless steel frames that are actually following the undulating brick. And that is actually they follow the original flushes of the brickwork. So originally the building had like a crossbond masonry. Yeah. So we actually copied that. So it's in a historical setting in Amsterdam. So you cannot design just whatever you want.
The mortars and stuff, and it's really.
So we took a lot of.
You're kind of blending the
architecture. Yeah, we took
vernacular with the inspiration, and then with a whole digital fabrication.
Yeah, so we actually literally copied the original silhouette of the building. So you had like this tripartite building with a plinth, a shaft, and a crown, and with windows in the shaft. So that's actually what we copied, and we also took over the original architectural elements. So like the crossband, but also the row locks that are above the window frames. We took over. So it's like a contemporary interpretation of the vernacular, you could say. Yeah.
I think this is the future. You're designing it and building it.
Yeah.
And you can make something that we've never seen before.
Yeah. So this was like a design and build project for the facade. We didn't do the whole building, but we did design, the engineering, the production, but also the assembly on site.
You guys assembled it, or you have like?
We outsourced it, but it was within our contract.
Responsibility. Yeah. That's This is the future.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, I'm sure there's lots of pains of doing that, but it's also a lot more reward.
Yeah, we try to be a one-stop shop for our clients, so they get something very bespoke. And I think for most clients it's also a challenge, like it comes with risks maybe to do something innovative. So in that sense, it's also like a service that we deliver to our clients, so that they have like one company to talk to. And actually the same counts for our new Delft Blue project.
Yeah.
So that's also a design and build project by us. So this is the project called New Delft Blue. It's in Delft. It's at least in the Netherlands. It's quite a famous city. Maybe you know it, but it's
of course,
it gained a lot of welfare during I think the 16th century, or I think the 16th century, where they produced a lot of Delft Blue ceramics. So there were a lot of factories in the city that were actually the image, created the image of the city. So that was actually a very nice starting point for our design narrative. So we got asked by the real estate developer of this development, and they developed like a closed building block. And the lead architect of that project, they imagined 2 gateways. And the 2 gateways, they were actually inspired by the city gates of Delft. So Delft has a historical city center with some historical city gates. So that was actually the initial concept, but the lead architect, also the developer, they thought that the project needed something extra. So they asked us to come up with some design concepts for the gateways. And one of the design concepts we developed at that time was called New Delft Blue.
Yeah.
And that's what you see here. So as I said before, like with all the projects that we do, we really try to amplify the identity of a place, or you know, it's contextual in a way.
Really cool.
So we actually took that as a starting point, that history of Delft. So in our opinion, you can also only make this in Delft. So we continued on that history. So at a certain point, we saw this recurring theme that we saw at Delft Blue plates. So when you have like a Delft Blue plate, you always have like an idyllic scene in the middle of the plate, which is decorated by ornaments from nature.
Right.
And that twofold concept we actually projected on the gate. So when you're in front of the gate, you look into the courtyard, you see the idyllic scene, and we use the gate itself as the decorative frame. And for that, we also took inspiration from nature. So what we did is we literally grew plants. So we made an algorithmic design for it that kind of guides you as a user from the public space to the semi-public space. And you see that that you have all different kinds of leaf patterns. We have like large ones, small ones, some are convex, some are concave, different densities. And that also, once again, creates a certain timelessness, you know, like that every part is unique. So every time you walk through this passage, you see a different tile, you see a different pattern, etc.
Assuming every single tile is unique.
Yeah.
Every single one. So you can just make that's a tile here, which is about that, right?
Yeah. So this is one tile. So it's like a hollow tile.
It's got really amazing glaze in the valleys.
Yeah, so we were looking for, of course, a blue color, as we are in Delft, but we wanted to have like a transparent blue, because this tile is printed like this, and at a certain point it gets flipped when it's put in the kiln.
Okay, I see.
And it's also glazed like this. But the nice thing is that during the firing process, the glaze kind of accumulates in the valleys, and then you get this deep blue color. And when you make it transparent and high gloss, it kind of reflects the mood of the day. So every time, you know, during winter it's different than summer.
Really beautiful.
They all have like a unique code. So there are.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there are like roughly three.
That's how you know which one's which.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to get lost.
Sorting them out.
Yeah. So.
And then you got let's have a look at the full.
Yeah. So that's also a one-to-one mock-up.
Yeah.
So this was also the mock-up that got approved by the client. Wow. So it's a small part at the bottom. I think they have there's like 25 tiles. So at eye height you have like smaller leaf patterns, and when you go up you get larger patterns, and it also becomes more 3D on top.
It's essentially just like a facade system, or like a brick slips. You just got the kind of channel, and then they just wrap on.
So at the end you can just mount it as
like a regular facade.
A regular ceramic tile. So it has like an aluminium substructure behind it, and with aluminium hangers at the back, and then you just mount them on site.
It's really.
you know, it's also logistically, it's a, like, I think technologically, like for the 3D printing process, it's not a big deal to make 3,000 one-offs, but it's more the logistics, you know, like you have to
stamping the number and making sure the sequence.
Yeah, but also put them in crates, like you see here, in chronological order. You know, like when you're at the building site, you don't want to search for, okay, what tile do I need to mount now? So they're all these are leftovers from the project, but at that time they were actually ordered like this, and then in the order you assemble it. So then the crates were put on site, and then
you go 1, 2, 3, 4,
like 5, they don't need to think about which they need to grab. So this resembles like one row of the design, and then you can just mount them quite easy. So it was actually quite fast to mount it.
And also, like, this is the realities of actually building stuff. You have to work out these things. Some may break in transport, but you can just press print again.
Yeah.
In theory.
Yeah, that's the case. And if you know the number, then we can easily redo them. But that's all things that we also do. So we're a design firm, but at the end we also have to build it. So we also make these mounting schedules, think about the logistics at the site. So
You got to talk to us about these ones. These look super intricate.
Yeah, so these are the tiles that are at the plinth at eye height. So this is actually one of the models we made during the design phase. So this is what you see here are tiles that are positioned here. So it's actually the design also has like a fade from the bottom to the top. So it's most expressive at eye height, but it also kind of nicely aligns here with the street. So like in a straight line. And then it kind of becomes expressive at the end, most expressive at the end of the plinth, and then it kind of fades out again, and then it fuses with the legacy of the street.
Right.
And that's also something very important. Actually, in all the designs that we make, like there is a certain gradient, you know. So from a far distance, it looks different than from when you get closer. So the closer you get, the more details start to unfold. So from a far distance, you actually see that it kind of fuses in the legacy of the street. You see the tripartite, but when you get closer, you see that it's an undulating facade.
I mean, even when you get this close, you see more and more.
Exactly, and it goes actually all the way till the door handle.
Yeah.
So also the door handle is like 3D printed.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So from far, you don't see yet that it's 3D printed, but till you enter, you actually
it's really
feel
tactile. It. Yeah. Really cool. And then, so this is raw, just the clay.
Yeah. So for
and
this,
then this is,
for this color, to get this pearl glaze, we first needed to do like a bisque fire. So then you create like stoneware, as you can see here, and after that the glazing company put like the glaze on it.
And this the material is just clay, or is that you were saying the brick?
It's normal clay, like
clay.
it's like an average clay, like most.
No special 3D printing clay.
Yeah, we developed, of course, our own clay, but at the end, it's like we have our own mixture, but it's not that we put like chemicals or like at the end, it's like a very durable clay material. So it's in that sense, it's a proper material in a sense. Yeah, and here you already see. How the pearls are running over the undulated surface.
Yeah. So
that's actually what we do here. So before we start full production, we do a lot of testing. So when we started the project, like this whole plot was filled with prototypes because. What's the maximum hangover we can get? How do we get a nice like crunchy stitch, you know, that you see it properly. Also after the glaze, you know, like after glazing, it kind of fills up at the printing pad. So, you know, all that fine tuning we did here, and believe me, it was a lot of it was quite an effort to get it right. But at a certain point, we knew what to do, and we also have like algorithms to check, like, okay, is this going to be right during printing? You know, you don't want to accidentally get into troubles during production. You know, when your print's starting to fall down because of gravity pulling the clay down. So we are still also develop that kind of strategies for also later design stages and also for production phase. So actually can do like proper proper production, and also promise our clients a certain production schedule. All right, so this is
this is your baby.
This is the baby. Yeah.
Have you named it?
Actually not.
No.
No. It's just, we just call it the KUKA robot. It's just a brand of the machine. But no, this is the machine we use for 3D printing. So it's like a 6-axis robotic arm. Yeah. As you probably know it from the automotive industry.
Yeah, we've seen a few. So we've seen AI build, and Alpha had some. Well, I think what's really unique with yours is the print head you use. I mean, it's a big print head. I like you've also got it branded and in your case, it's really cool.
Yeah, so I think what is unique about our technology and the projects that we do is that we really work at the scale of architecture. So what I already said, it's like the new Delft Blue project. There's like almost 3,000 unique tiles. It's like roughly 350 square meters of tiles, and we can even make more square meters. You know, like our production. So it's quite a big printing head, but it's also a lot of clay. Yeah.
Is that big? Yeah, because it's clay. You got a lot of material to squeeze through.
Exactly, and we make like large tiles, so you need quite some.
Is the print head? Is this something you guys you can buy, or do you have to create it yourselves? Like, how does that work?
Of course, you know, we're not machine builders ourselves. Yeah. But we think, okay, what do we need? What do we want? And then we work together with a machine builder to make it. Okay. But yeah, this one is like we did a lot of tweaking, and this is like our prototype lab. So it's quite different already since we bought it. But it's a nice technology to what I said, to really to scale up to because that was actually the biggest hurdle we had to take at the very beginning. You know, like a lot of people are 3D printing, but to industrialize it and to there's so much more than just the technology, like what I already talked about, like logistics, the contracts. Like there's so much more than.
It's almost. I'm not saying it's easy, but this is the easier part. Sometimes you got like, how do you get this thing to site and instruct someone to put it together?
So that I think you also went to a 3D concrete printing company, right?
Yeah.
So I think the extruding, the technology itself is maybe not the hardest part, but you have to bring the machine to site. You have to build it up. Okay, and then you need to start building. Then it starts to rain. Like all these kind of things you also need to think about. And for this technology, it's exactly the same. But what is so interesting is that I think there it's just a short line. So there we have our office, and here we have the machine.
You're in Rhino there, and then it becomes reality here.
Yeah, so that's really fun. It's so quick in that sense, and I think that's the strongest. Maybe that's the for us as designers, maybe the biggest advantage. Like you can, like I think in a more ordinary architecture practice, like you're so far from the art of making, at the end.
I think it's a big problem.
And and we can prototype like what I already said during sketch design phase. We already prototype. We already make like small tiles to see if if it kind of functions the way we want.
It's all the samples and things.
Yeah. So and that really works. That really works well. And it's such a fast cycle. And of course, it's so nice that you can deposit material exactly where you want. So it's like really try to design, realize expressive designs, expressive architecture. Really bring that love back into the architecture. We're I think still in the aftermath of modernism, or where we have a lot of repetition, etc. So we really try to bring back like bespoke ornamentation into design, into architecture. These machines are perfect for that because we can program these days, program algorithmic designs. So we can create the most complex, richly detailed facades, feature, wall features, etc., statement entrances. And then this machine kind of directly communicates with digital design, and that I think that's so interesting. And we try to also to find like an aesthetic that comes along with this technology, to find.
I think that's the really important thing that you guys do, is you're not just designing, crazy looking geometry and then handing it to someone else. You know exactly how it's going to be made, and it's intricate and interesting because you know how it's going to be made. So it's like a
also
loop.
Always every project we use to develop like that new design language. I think like back in the days, also some famous modernists, they also found like a certain authenticity that came along with opportunities of that time, social but also technological. And I think this is also a point in time with opportunities, and we also try to translate those new opportunities into an aesthetic. And that is nice that when you also make it yourself, you can iterate much faster and develop that language much faster. So that's what we do here.
Yeah, it's very cool. This is the office space.
Yeah. So back in the days, we were renting an office space up there.
Yeah.
And we were renting this plot, but like then that doesn't feel right. Like it's quite a threshold to go from the office to the 3D printer. So we really wanted to actually be at the workshop, and all these plots in this building, they already came with these sea containers, but more for storage. So what we did here is we just cut them open.
Wow.
And transformed it into our office.
It's really cool.
And now you can just design your thing and test it, walk out the office and test it right away.
It's a very cool office.
Yeah, so this is
it's where the magic happens.
This is where the magic happens. Yeah. So here we also have the architects working. Mm-hmm. Everyone has his own desk where they play around with their modeling tools, and then upstairs, we have what we call power hours. When we do a project, we have a discussion with the whole group. That's something we do upstairs.
Up in the roof space.
Yeah, and then we just talk about the project. We go through the project, discuss the design concept, but also when we are in later stages, like more technical stuff.
And what are you guys? So I see this guy's working in Rhino and Grasshopper, and are there any particular tools and plugins that you use for the 3D printing side? Or?
Yes, yeah. So we do a lot of Grasshopper and Rhinoing, of course. We also build some own tools within Grasshopper, especially for the 3D printing, for translating geometry into production data for the robotic arms. So that's what we develop in house. Yeah, we use lots of plugins. It really depends on the project. That we use, but mainly Rhino Grasshopper and ArchiCAD for
documentation and stuff.
For BIM stuff. To communicate with IFC models, etc. So
cool.
That's
cool space. It's a really cool space.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so this is what we call SkilledIn Office. At that time, there was a company that was renting this space.
Yeah.
And this is actually one of the first projects we did. I think it was 2016. And at that time, we were at the makerspace, as I told before.
Right.
All these panels were also produced within the makerspace at that time. So there was actually the project that really got us flying, the company, because when we published this, it got viral on the internet, and that kind of kickstarted our company. Because at the very beginning of our company, we were just fresh graduates from Technical University Delft.
Yeah.
So these days, you as a designer, you need references, to do competitions, etc. So, it's not always easy to get your design firm started. So, especially not when you do crazy stuff with robotics.
Making stuff as well, yeah.
So, at that time, we did a lot of production assignments.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a lot of production, so we learned a lot how to make things, how to detail, etc. And we didn't do a lot of design, but definitely after this project, it kind of switched. So we did a lot of more design and already less production, or at least only the production of our own designs. Before we did,
production for other people's stuff.
Exactly.
But what's interesting, this is not 3D printed, this is CNC cut timber. So I think it's really, you're not just 3D printing, it's like a philosophy of just using digital fabrication to make stuff.
Yes, exactly. But our business model is more converging towards 3D ceramic print, like design and build, but with 3D ceramic printing. This is the philosophy behind is actually the same. The business model, it's always
evolving,
on the move,
always pivoting.
But now we kind of definitely with the 3D printing, it goes pretty well.
Yeah. This was CNC cut by a robot arm or just a CNC machine?
Yeah, by a robotic arm. So also like the same like a 6-axis robotic arm. So what we did here is the Port of Rotterdam was our client, and they had a tenant that wanted to rent this plot, but they want to have something special. So they asked us to design like this office space, and together with them, they wanted to have like 3 different spaces.
I see.
But as we are in the inside, we kind of wanted to maximize daylight. So we made like a glass facade, and we used like the column as a room divider to make these 3 spaces that the tenant wanted. And then we used design algorithms to create this compression only system. So it's actually a 3D vault. And that was rationalized into timber panels. So it's like LVL, like laminated veneer lumber. And they're all cut into triangles, and they are connected with finger joints to take up the shear forces. And yeah, they are small where you have a lot of curvature, and they are bigger where you have less curvature. All the, like what is a really fun story? It's one of my, what I really like about this project is that we use a lot of design tricks like algorithms to, to serve design, to serve art. It's not about the technology itself in our company. It's how do you translate that into architecture, into like proper design? So what we really wanted is that when you buy these timber panels, it's like build up from veneer, layer by layer, and they have a direction like the veneer, like the flames that are on the
grain.
The grain, exactly. So and the nice thing about this material is that the stiffness of those panels were different. So you have like a main stiffness, and perpendicular to that stiffness, you had another stiffness, like and it was lower. So you have like these tension cables in the roof, which make the forces radial. So and what we wanted is we actually wanted to have like these flames following those forces. And that's really fun.
They sort of gravitate in.
Yes. So it's like an integral design decision that we took. Like you use less material, but it also serves the design because it's much more serene inside. Like I remember when we built this thing, one triangle was cutted differently. It was just switched, something went wrong in the script, I don't know, but we cut it wrong. And during, like the shape was correct, but the grain was off. And we were building, and we assembled it quite far, and we were looking at it. That's not correct. You see it already that if the grains are not aligned, like, that is not, wasn't looking nice. And that's what I really like about, that's just an example, of this philosophy we talked about. I think these things, like these small details that really make the design, I find that very interesting. And I think that comes along with that philosophy. And the same with the finger joints, like they kind of show they show how they are produced. It's just the milling bit that went around it, but it also tells the story of the shear forces. Like, okay, if you don't have them, the plates want to move from each other. So let's make like some finger joints that kind of take up that force.
That's really beautiful.
Hello, my name is Wessel van Beerendonk. I'm an architect and one of the co-founders of Studio Wrap.
Wessel, thank you so much for having us. Incredible space. I think you're doing incredible work as well. So yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Maybe to start, let's talk about the origins of Wrap. Like, how did you get started? And then also, I'm curious, as a business, how did you get started? Did you go down like a funding route, or you just found some projects and that was the beginning? Talk us through the story of Wrap.
All right. Yeah. So I co-founded the company together with two other guys. Two left. Actually, no, one left. So we're with two co-founders left now. And we started the company right after graduation. I think it was somewhere 2015, 2016. And we at that time we saw like great opportunity between the gap of academic practice and the real life practice. At that time there were super interesting social and technological developments that we saw as an opportunity. We wanted to jump into that vacuum, I would say, and we started our own business. At that time, when I was at university, we could design whatever we want, like unlimited possibilities. But yeah, in the practice, it was slightly different.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just nice to to start exploring that, and that's what we did at our studio.
And from day one, were you kind of in this world of fabrication and making, or
Yes.
that came from the academic side?
We started also in this building. So back in the days, there was a studio from the TU Delft was in this building. So they were also renting out a plot here. So we started there. There we kind of got into this space, and after graduating, we started our company at a makerspace that was inside this building as well.
Right.
So we had like proper office. We could receive clients. We could give them a cup of coffee. So that's really how we started, all the way from the bottom. And then there was this old robot catching dust, somewhere in one of the corners. Seriously, of this building. So nobody was doing anything with it. So at that time, we cleaned the robot, and that's how we started actually. So then we started, we didn't have any funding at that time. We actually still have no funding, but that's how we started. So we could really bootstrap. That's actually what we did from the very beginning of our company, bootstrapping, doing everything lean and mean. So we started with that old.
That's great.
Old robot. It was our old Fanuc. Nobody knew actually who the owner was. So after some researching, we got permission to use it. And there we started to do some production jobs, like milling, cutting. So that's actually how we started. And then, the machine kind of started rolling. We made it some money. And then we set up like a collaboration with a robot company in the Netherlands. So we got more robots in. We rented the robots, and so we could still keep the costs low. And then the size of the projects became much bigger. So we really started as a production company, but always with the idea that we wanted to be like a design firm, because at the end we are designers. But it's hard to start as a designer. So it was much easier to start producing stuff. And so we did a lot of production, and kind of at a certain point it flipped. And I think the SkilledIn Office, which you also saw today, that was like the pivot point from that moment. We could live from the design firm and the design fees that we made. So yeah, mostly bootstrapping from day one.
It's a good way to start.
Yeah, it's a different way,
Actually, I think most of the robust companies start bootstrapping, because then you learn how to actually not spend money, make money.
Yeah.
You learn the real way. Whereas if someone just gives you his €2 million, you start buying beanbags and 20 robots.
It's a different approach. Like it's quite a roller coaster. So I kind of agree. You become I think you become a more robust entrepreneur.
A seasoned entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I really see you guys as kind of like the next generation of an architecture practice, where you're not just, we kind of touched on it already, you're not just designing essentially pretty pictures that someone has to build. You are designing it, but you're also taking the responsibility to build it. And then out of that comes these incredible products that you've delivered. Yeah. Was that conscious? Like, is that where you wanted to be? And, obviously there's pros and cons to that, right? You have the complications of building stuff. So maybe talk about that, your role as kind of master builders.
Yeah, that's super interesting, because I think when you look to the last decades, maybe the last century, you see the diminishing role of the architect. Like centuries ago, you had Bruno Lecce, guys
they do everything.
They did everything, and since then, it's responsibilities decline, and also your the fees and all the things comes with it. So we saw that really as an opportunity business-wise, but also it's of course a great opportunity as a designer, you know. So that comes quite nicely together. So it's an interesting business model, and next to that, I think we can differentiate ourselves as a designer. So because we can do something that our competition cannot do, and that was actually was actually the initial idea to start the company, and you know, it also helps us with our mission. You know, we are really here on a mission to inspire people everywhere around the world with expressive architecture at the cutting edge of human imagination. That's really what drives us. And, you know, like, and we hope in the future that we kind of developed like a new aesthetic, like an aesthetic that is from this time, which is contemporary and that comes along from that business model and from the opportunities on both the design side as the production side.
And also talk about the business model, because, you know, the big advantage is you're not only getting design fees, you're also getting the build fees, which are usually significantly more.
Yeah, that's correct. So
there's more opportunity to make.
Yeah, definitely.
More money, right?
So that's very interesting. So that's also something we always had in our minds. But of course there are also some pitfalls. But yeah, so we most of the time start with a design fee, or or a very early concept stage before design stage. And what we also do is most of the time we do a design fee from the very beginning, from sketch design all the way to execution design. Yeah. So that's also what you see happening, at least in the Netherlands, that most architects, they don't get like a full design assignment anymore. Yeah, they get like, you know, they can design
just the concept. So
yeah, they can do the concept design maybe till final design, but then from there on the contractor is on the job and they take over. Yeah. So that's, I think, also interesting because the thing that we do are so bespoke, they're complex, and we became quite experts in it. Mm-hmm. So also for clients, it's, you know, it's nice to have, like a company on the job that knows what it's doing. So that's interesting. And then of course afterwards we also can do some engineering and of course the production. Yeah. And the assembly. So at the very beginning, we most of the time are contracted by, like for example, in more residential projects, we are contracted by a real estate developer first. Mm-hmm. We do the design development, and then in later stages, we get subcontracted by the GC.
By the contractor,
yeah. But there is not like a fixed blueprint, you know, like sometimes it's different. You know, we work a lot for fashion brands, but then first we make a design for them and then they also select the GC and then we're kind of subcontracted again. So that's quite interesting. And but for me as a designer, what I think is the biggest advantage is that you can design something and realize something without any you just can deliver it the way you had envisioned it, you know, without
where you have full control of the process.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, once again, there are also challenges, of course, like especially when you do like architecture projects, there's quite a big gap between the design and the execution. You know, like the things that we do, especially with the 3D ceramic printing, you come out, you're on the job all the way at the end. So there is quite a time gap between. So getting everything scheduled right, you know, that's challenging sometimes. But yeah, we manage until now. Yeah.
I know we touched on it a little bit before, but of course, talk a bit more about, you know, computation obviously plays a massive role. BIM as well. You know, how is this integrated into your studio and workflow?
Yeah. So what I think is very important is that there are tools. What I find very interesting is that it gives you as a human superpowers, kind of. You know, it's like computational design, also the robotic arm, or like more general digital fabrication, is a tool that serves our mission of our studio. So, we want to inspire people everywhere around the world. We just want to make nice places on this planet, that takes you out of your, maybe just for a couple of seconds, out of your daily life. When you pass through that gateway, for example, when you go from your home to your work or whatever, and just get a bit of inspiration. I think that's the most important thing. And, and the aesthetics, that are behind it. Like, what are the authentic aesthetics that come along these innovations, like both socially and also technological innovations. And that's what we're trying to do here, to make like design narratives that improve our built environment, and these great tools help us doing that.
So I think what's really interesting is you guys are gravitating towards 3D printing facades, which I actually think is the most interesting application of 3D printing right now. But a lot of people are kind of gravitating towards printing an entire building with like a big gantry printer. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this? Was that conscious to gravitate more towards facades? Do you think you'll scale up to buildings? What's your thoughts on 3D printing larger structures?
Yeah. The interesting thing is like we're kind of directing our business, like pinpointing it all the way towards the design and build of 3D ceramic printed structures. Mm-hmm. But we did a lot of other stuff before. We did CNC cutting, milling, sawing, pick and place, hot wire cutting. And like every tool we mounted on that robotic arm to make cool stuff. But at the end, there also needs to be a proper business model behind it. And it was hard to differentiate ourselves from other companies. So at a certain point, we went all the way for 3D ceramic printing, because then we had like clear unique selling points. Like we do something very special with that. So that's a bit how we ended up with the 3D printing. But when we also started, like 3D printing was not that mature yet. Like a lot of universities were playing around with it, but they were all prototyping. It was not at an industrial scale yet. And especially not at the scale of architecture. Like you see a lot of 3D printing technologies on product design, automotive, rocket science, like that kind of niches, but not in architecture. So that's also something that we had always in our minds, like, okay, when we develop this technology, it needs to be scalable, scalable to the scale of architecture. And then, we also follow and saw, of course, the development of the 3D concrete printing industry, where they try to print complete buildings. There will definitely be a niche for it, but we try to. I think it also we pivoted more towards the 3D ceramic printing because we are architects. Mm-hmm. We wanted to make something very, very precious, something very beautiful. Not that I want to say that 3D concrete printed buildings are not beautiful, but it's something completely different than the things that we do here. And I think it's also a nice way to enter, for example, 3D printing facades. We're not only doing facades, we also do like feature walls, statement entrances, but smaller scale projects, but also cladding. The advantage of that is that you don't need to, need to work with load-bearing structures, etc., etc. So the threshold is a bit lower. And it's something that it's important to clients most of the time, like a statement entrance or anything. So it's not that I have like one answer to your question, but it's more like a coherent.
It's a mix of all these different things.
Yeah, all these variables, the right time, right place, right clients, that kind of guided us to where we are right now.
I'm curious to ask the question I'm sure many people ask you is like, how much do these facades cost? Now, you don't have to give like the numbers, but do you find them, obviously you started like on a high-end project with the storefront, but do you find it's kind of over time it's becoming competitive against a regular facade or like a high-end regular facade, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's hard to give you a square meter price, for example, because all the projects we do are so bespoke. Sometimes it really depends on the, in the suspension system, the rear structure, etc., the type of glaze, the size of the project. So it's really hard to give you like a one pricing for it. But what I can tell you is the strategy that we followed. It's actually what you already mentioned. So we started high end. We still do a lot of high-end projects because it's a unique and a very precious material. But yeah, we also know that if you want to have like a robust business, you, in our opinion, you should not rely only on one type of client. So we are also thinking like, okay, are there strategies to scale this up? To do a bit bigger projects, but also to come up with tricks to print faster and make it slightly cheaper. So that's also, for example, a difference between the two projects that I showed you downstairs. The new Delft Blue project, like one tile, is 3D printed in around 12 minutes. While the pearl white tiles that I showed of the ceramic house project, it takes like almost 45 minutes. And that's because of the pearl stitch, but also the geometry. So, for example, the new Delft Blue project is nice. It's designed also in such a way that we can print it super fast. So it's also, and that kind of also influences this design in early design stages. Like we knew it's a residential project. It's not like a precious facade for a boutique. So we had to think already in a very early design stage, like, okay, how can we translate our design concept in something feasible within budget? So that's also, when you look at the tiles, we made we also developed an algorithm that that it cannot cantilever too much, so that it's and also the undulation has a certain width, for example, between the curves. It's all designed in such a way that you can print it super fast. So we're thinking about these things, and also we just won another competition here in our hometown, Rotterdam, which is also a residential, like a more average residential project. So you also need to think like, okay, how can we apply
make it more economical as you go. Interesting. We're talking to everyone about what they think of AI, but I'm really curious to get your thoughts on how you think AI might influence kind of more the fabrication side, because I think there's a lot of people right now, if I take a video of your robot printing, someone will be like, oh, AI, and it's probably not using AI at all, right?
No.
But do you see AI having an influence in this space, like with the actual fabrication side, or not yet?
I think not in the near future. We are doing it. We are mostly using it in a design, in early design stages. So we have like a protocol now developed, but that's more focused on the design. So for every design stage, we use different tools and also in different ways, but not for the fabrication yet. But I'm pretty sure that we're gonna use that, you know, in in the near future. Yeah, not in the near future, but maybe in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Maybe with predicting collapsing, for example, you know, like
Right.
like that's
Almost
still
simulation side of what's going to happen.
exactly that kind of thing. I'm pretty sure that AI will be very impactful for it, and maybe, you know, with cameras to predict. Do some predictive fabrication, and, the way we deposit material, etc. Sure, but not yet.
Yeah,
Like
I feel
already, you know, doing this, it you know, it's just for your idea. Like we, it was years of development before we were here. So now we really have to start, doing, some commercial projects, you know, to.
I feel like people these days, they see a robot doing something and they're like, it's AI. But I'm sure it's hardly ever AI.
No. I can be clear about that. No. It's just offline programming. So no AI involved yet.
Yeah, exactly. I'm curious to know a bit more about the team that you have down there. Like, what is their profile? Are they architects or computational designers? And also, you know, someone listening that maybe wants to come work for you one day.
Yeah.
What kind of people, do you hire and have in your team?
Yeah, so we are always looking for a very specific profile. So so of course we have architects working here, robot operator, of course, but the designers, they all have an architecture background, and like algorithmic design and digital fabrication is in the DNA of our company. So we're we are always looking for people with excellent computational design skills and digital fabrication skills. But it's not purely technological, you know. Like I think what we find much more interesting is how you translate those tools, but that's what they are. That's how we see it. It's, you know, like it's a tool to serve a purpose. So it's important to see if people can translate that in some artistry, you know, like you have to translate it into well-designed architecture or objects. So that is very important. And next to that, like we're super hands-on. So it's like you're like designing something here, but at the same time you're also 3D printing stuff. So demount tools, the printing head to repair it or to improve it, or fill the cartridges, fill the 3D printing machine. So also hands-on.
Maybe we sort of asked this question as well to everyone, and it's kind of like a simple question of day to day, you guys will be sitting on, you know, Rhino, Grasshoppers. What are the software that you use on a day to day basis? Like the basics for someone young that's interested in this.
Lots of Rhino and Grasshopper, you know, that's like, but in my opinion, like once again, it's a tool, you know, I always say to our designers, like, please take a sketch, get a sketch roll. Because I think I also did some lectures on universities. I also did actually one studio on the academy here in Rotterdam. And what I see is that all these students, they jump immediately into a Grasshopper, which is cool, you know, they get super enthusiastic about that. But I think at the end, it's about designing, you know, showing that you're like an autonomous thinking designer, that you can take deliberate design choices. And I think when you jump too much in those computer programs, you forget that. And I think when you start sketching, you can iterate much faster. Rhino, Grasshopper, but don't forget the sketch roll.
Start with the sketch, Thank you guys once again for joining us on another incredible tour. I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, I think this is the future of architecture practice, where you're designing and actually making things through digital tools. It makes sense from a design perspective, but also from business and actually creating incredible architecture. As always, if you like this episode, just help us out, give us a like and a subscribe. The more people we get on the channel, the more places we get into. So thank you for joining on this one, and we'll see you on the next one as we continue our tour here in the Netherlands.